Hey guys, hope everyone's having an awesome morning so far. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Patrick. It's my beautiful wife.
Hi guys.
What's your name, babe?
You guys know me. My name's Shelly. So we are Glare Fathers. Anyways, so we're wanting to share Elijah's birth story with you guys. Even though it's a year and a half later.
We've been thinking of doing this for some time now, but we made a decision to make sure that we do this before baby girl arrives on or around Father's Day,
Yes.
which is coming up pretty quickly, so we definitely want to do this now. This is actually take 2 this morning because as we're attempting to do it, Elijah came stumbling out of the room looking half drunk and mega wet, so we had to change his diaper.
Parent life.
Yeah, pretty much. We definitely want to start this video off. I know personally as his father, we're doing this because we want to document it for the future so we don't forget. We can remember him, remember his birth story, and eventually so that baby boy can look back at this video and see and listen to his parents' perspective of what the birth story was like. So yeah.
So yeah, we want to start out by just saying that we're not bashing any hospitals or any way that you women choose to give birth. Whether it's naturally or with an epidural or at home, we support all kinds, whatever you have to do to whatever you guys choose as your preference. This is just our personal experience. So yeah, let's start out with...
She's going first.
Elijah's in the back seat in the car. So.
And he's awake, so if you hear or screaming, let's put it this way.
So let's try to roll with it, okay?
Yeah.
So I was 42 weeks and 1 day, and I was scheduled for an induction. His due date was October 7th of 2018. I ended up having a scheduled induction for October 16th, 2018. So he was not wanting to come out.
That boy was comfortable.
Yes. We had tried going into the hospital. It was like October 10th to just check on the baby because I didn't feel much movement and just had the instinct that something was wrong. So we went in around like midnight that night to get checked, and so they hook you up to the monitor to check contractions or heart rate, my heart rate, but they just said everything was fine. We felt like they should have done an ultrasound just to double check to see if they could see anything rather than listening. Anyways, they sent us home. Everything was fine. So as we know, we were scheduled for the induction for October 16th, and we had to be there at 7 a.m. So we woke up pretty early, like 5:30. We scheduled a lift to go to the hospital. We didn't have a car at the time, so after that, we arrived at the hospital like a little bit before 6, I don't know.
Yep.
Went to admitting, and that's when they had us sign some papers, and from admitting, they walked us up to labor and delivery, and I don't know if they did something wrong, but we ended up having to like wait in the hallway for a room to open up.
Well, like a janitor lady, housekeeper got it ready, which I thought was strange because you would think a hospital would have the rooms ready to go. But anyways, continue.
So she got it ready and was like, "Oh yeah, you can go in the room. Like it's prepared for you." But so we go in and like no nurse knew we were in there. No one like And this is from my doctor's request that you've been scheduled for an induction, so we don't know, like, how we took the birth tour around the hospital and they just said go straight to admitting. Well, the way the admitting brought us up, like, we were just a lost patient
Yep.
waiting in a room.
And we didn't really know that either until I think we'd had been in that room, what, babe, for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
And when what really flagged it as a red flag is like no one came in to hook her up to IVs or nothing. Like they didn't come in to read her chart. There was no chart. Like we were sitting
it was
ducks.
like 7:30.
Yeah, we were like sitting ducks in a room just waiting to die.
And I'm like, okay, I can't wait anymore. Like, what is this? So what happened? You went out?
I open the door and I go outside and there's like they were in the middle of the night nurses were leaving and the morning nurses were coming in.
So shift change.
So yeah, shift change. And I remember I walk up to the desk and there's like 6 nurses sitting there and I'm like, hey ladies, do you know who's in charge of helping the patients in room whatever? And they're like, do you know anybody? Do you know anybody in that room? No. But do you? No. And every single one of them, they're like lost. And they're like, who's supposed to be in that room? And they're like, who's head nurse right now? Like, oh, God, I don't know. Well, it's normally on the board. Check the board. Well, someone erased everything on the board. So, like, none of the nurses knew what the heck they were doing. No one knew anything of what was going on.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Needless to say, the lady ends up asking me, like, okay, sir, who are you? And why are you on our floor? So I had to explain, my name is Chris Patrick. My wife, Shelly Patrick, has been scheduled to be induced to have labor and delivery today. We're in that room right there, and we've been sitting in there for like 2 hours. She's like, well, I'm glad you came out because you'd have been waiting all day. So basically, I ended up going back to the room, told Shelly what was going on, and I will let her take it from there.
So finally, like, the nurse comes in. Kind of rude, I think, because she just got our schedule thrown off and didn't know we were in there, so she has to take our case anyways. I don't know, she was in a bad mood, like, the whole time. She finally starts hooking me up to monitors. We finally get started with the Pitocin, really low dose, around 10 o'clock. Mind you, we got to the hospital around 6:30. But, like, she didn't really explain anything. She just hooked me up, got me started on that, and it's a lot of kind of waiting period. From there, I was hooked up and just waited. I mean, honestly, the Pitocin started me really slowly on.
It was a really big waiting game, honestly, and after that point, like...
Well, you had to leave at like 12, right?
Yeah, so, mind you guys, on this date, I also had a new job orientation where it's like the day you get your badge, you take your picture, you get a walkthrough of the job site, and so it was like probably the worst possible timing. And I was threatened by the company, by the agency, that if I don't go to the orientation, then I can't actually accept the job offer. So it's like, you have to go to this thing. Otherwise, you're unemployed still. So I made it a priority to go do that. And think, what time did I leave?
I don't know, it was like 12, I think you had to be there.
It was about 12, and so anyways.
Mind you, you don't have a car, so you have to, like, take a bus.
Sorry guys, we're using a tripod in the car, it's really difficult. So I'm taking a bus to this job site. I get there, and there's like 12 of us new hires. We're walking through, and the lady notices that I'm kind of sweating bullets, you know, and I'm nervous, and she asked me, is everything okay? And I said, no, everything's not okay. My wife is at Memorial Hospital right now, and
Scheduled
she's
to give-
gonna be giving birth to my baby boy today. And she goes, well, what the hell are you doing here? And I said, well, good question. Staffing agency said that if I'm not here, I don't have the job. And she goes, no, I'll cover you. Sign here and leave. Go be there for your boy.
That was later, though, right?
Huh?
That was later.
No, it was, I was at the job site for like literally 10 minutes. And, hold on.
It's hot.
Alright. So, basically, I get back on the bus, head to the hospital, get there, and
Meanwhile, we arrived at the hospital with your sister, too. So she was there while he was gone.
yeah, my little sister was there taking care of Shelly, helping out as best she
I mean, it
could.
was nice not to be completely alone, but so around 12, they upped the Pitocin. I still didn't feel like early labor until like 4:30, I want to say. So they started at 10. Around 4:30, I started feeling some contractions, I think. You were still gone. I remember getting up, I had to use the bathroom, and I just remember bleeding a lot. Like, it was kind of graphic, but like just dripping blood, and it just didn't feel right. So I remember telling the nurse, calling her into the room and telling her I'm bleeding, and she says that it's normal because you're a redhead, like it's normal that you're bleeding a lot, and meanwhile this blood's like dripping, and she's just standing there watching our sister clean up the blood. So from there, I think I just laid down again, and mind you, it was around 4:30, so for their shift, it was like a shift change again.
Yep.
Like closer to 5 is when we got our new nurse.
Yeah, and at that point, I'd already been, I'd returned,
Arrived.
and I was back in the room with Shelly at that point, and our nurses had changed. Thankfully, our evening nurse was
a lot nicer.
much nicer.
Done her job better.
Yeah, she was very hands-on. She was actively being a part of the whole process, so that was extremely, extremely helpful. Hopefully, if she still works there, we'll have her for the second birth. She was awesome.
But from there, my contractions like speeded up. I was actually in active labor. We had went to a birth class at the hospital. Not,
If you could call it that.
yeah, it was.
I want to share this part. Guys, it's almost like having a 7-Eleven cashier work at a birthing class PowerPoint pretend.
Well,
like,
it wasn't like the movies, like, oh, you sit behind the partner and you breathe and you do all these coaching.
Yeah.
No, it was a PowerPoint of like birth and your cervix and, you know, pressure pains and.
well, I'm not trying to be racist, but like the lady had such a thick accent that
so hard to-
anything she said, you're just like, hey, excuse me, can you repeat everything you just
Yeah.
said for like the last hour,
You
please?
had to really pay attention. But the birthing class, they did say that you're allowed to move around in the room and
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of videos, but they reassured you that you're allowed to birth.
The way you want to.
Yeah. The hospital doesn't have a tub. They had showers, but I think they had a shower, right?
Yep, shower.
Yeah. But anyways, on that day, like, I don't know, the nurse I had, like, didn't reassure me that you could do all that, and so, like, we didn't know what we could do as far as walking around or using certain positions.
Well, and as the partner, as the husband, you know, we're taught in these birthing classes, you know, you can sit behind the woman and massage her back or basically help her move around, do some like yoga pregnant stretches or whatever, you know. And the way that they had her hooked up on IVs and monitors and everything, it's like she was tied down to this bed.
It was a lifesaver, though, because so in my contractions, they have the, what is it, bed railing? And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
every contraction, I would seriously squeeze that thing so hard. It was, like the only thing I could do to relieve anything. But
But it was inconvenient during
Yeah.
that time that she couldn't get up and move about freely, and that I felt really stupid the entire time because I'm just kind of like standing there going, well, okay, you got this, honey, just breathe. But other than that, like, I don't know, do I stroke your hair? Like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing during this time?
Well, this
I'm
is-
expecting to be able to sit behind her, massage her back
something.
and her hips and do whatever I can to help her. And meanwhile, I'm standing back like a moron, not knowing what to do because everything I thought I'd be able to do, I can't do. So that was
This is
really frustrating for me.
my first birth, to where like I don't know what helps or what doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
I knew I wanted it naturally. I wanted to have not unmedicated, but just I didn't want to have an epidural. I don't know why.
So
I
she
just,
wanted a natural birth, like a home birth,
Unmedicated.
but in a hospital.
I don't know why. I just didn't want to have that lack of control during the transition period.
Well, and from what you've explained to me, correct me if I'm wrong, babe, but like a woman's body is designed.
It's made to do
It's
that.
made to give birth
Yes.
naturally. So the way that Shelley was looking at it is from the perspective of, if I was made to do this, then why do I need to put anything into my body to prohibit me or enhance the ability
Right.
to do what it's naturally made to do? Just let it come naturally, you know? Caitlin, in answer to your question, she's due on or around Father's Day. They're saying Father's Day is the due date.
June 21st. In case you don't know what day that's.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Elijah's birth story. So it's around like 5:30. I started getting contractions. I don't know how many minutes apart they were, but
Maybe 15 minutes.
they did check me when I got to the hospital. I was still a 2, and then around 5, I was. You said a 6, 5.
Yeah.
I was a 5 for the
5.
longest time, and then I don't know, so they brought dinner in. They brought food in for me to eat, and I'm like, okay, if I don't eat now, then I'm not gonna survive this, like, the pushing phase. I need energy, food, like, and I kind of didn't want to eat a lot, because, I don't know, they told you not to, but I ended up eating the whole tray, I think, and
I thought she was
think-
going to eat the tray.
I think it was a big mistake, because, like, as my contractions were getting more powerful, like, I would vomit. Like, every contraction, I would end up vomiting. And what I've researched before, though, that's kind of how your body can release pain. So it could have, I'm sure that the meal didn't.
The meal certainly didn't help with the vomiting, that's for sure, but, you know, you gotta weigh in. There's so many women who say that they vomited during their labor and delivery, so
Well, with me, it was like every contraction. So it was
Yeah.
annoying trying to deal with that, and vomiting, and getting all hooked up to the IVs and cords. And
yeah, it's no bueno.
anyways, like, that's what I remember is just every contraction during that.
You
Alright.
good? He's alright.
So it was around like Mark 6 or 7. I don't know what to talk about next, but
Well, it just speeded up to basically when things got hectic. It's about 6 or 7, and our evening nurse comes in, and we're still trying to figure out, where's the doctor? Where is Shelley's OB that is supposed to be at the hospital at this point, reassuring her and walking her through the whole process? And she's like, basically, oh, he's not here yet, and I don't want to call him until we know for a fact that this baby is like about to be here, because he has something else going on. And so we're like, okay, around 6 or 7, she was at a 5 still, and we're asking the evening nurse, you know, can you call the doctor? And she looks and she goes, no, you're only at a 6. I'll come back and check on you in about 2 hours, and from that point we'll go from there. We'll see what's going on. And I noticed she like said that and walked right out of the room, but she left her notepad, whatever, like clipboard on the sink in the room with us. So she came right back, I want to say 20 minutes later. It had to be 20 minutes. No more, no less. And she grabs a clipboard, and on her way back out of the room, she kind of peeks to check on Shelly, you know, down yonder. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're at a 9. We need to call the doctor."
Oh, that was the epidural moment.
Yeah.
So 6 o'clock came and they asked if they wanted an epidural, and I was like, okay, yes, I do. Like, and I knew in my instincts I didn't want one. But as I was saying it, you know, I'm in so much pain that you don't know what you want, and like, so that was when I thought I was a 6, and they came it back and said, "Oh, actually you're a 9." I'm like, okay, good. Then I don't want it. Like, don't schedule it.
Well, and that was a relief for me because, and I've shared this story on social media before, but I'll share it again briefly, just briefly, not the whole thing. About a year before we ever found out Shelly was pregnant with Elijah, I had a dream where we were in the labor and delivery room, and they ask her if she wants an epidural. She says yes. They administer that epidural, and then in labor, she dies. And so when they said you're already at a 9, so we're not gonna administer the epidural, I was like, thank you, Jesus, because she would have, and you'll hear later in the story why. You know, just go ahead from there.
I was happy because it aligned with my instincts. You know, if any women that want to have a certain way, you know, learn to speak up and try not to let anyone take that from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they didn't administer an epidural. I was at a 9, and I remember contractions were coming to where it was making me push, and so yeah, I was just trying to push this baby out, and the baby is crowning, and you know, the doctor's like telling me don't push.
Yeah.
While the baby's crowning.
The nurse.
Yeah, the nurse. Doctor wasn't there yet.
Still not there. Still not. Okay? It gets better, trust me.
And I'm like, what do you mean don't push? Like every contraction that came, like, that's what your body was made to do, so I'm
guys,
trying to breathe, trying to manage my pain.
Men, if you don't understand what that feels like, imagine you're turtlenecking a turd the size of God. I'm not trying to be graphic, but I am, okay? And this thing's coming, yo. And you have to find a toilet. I'm talking ASAP.
It's like period cramps mixed with diarrhea. It's like, okay, there's no more pain worse than that.
And then, like, your kid in the backseat tells you, "Dad, don't push." First off, you're throwing that freaking kid out the window. Or at least I am, okay? You don't tell me not to push something that's already on its way out of my body, okay?
And you can feel it pounding, like, that doesn't feel good. It's the ring of fire.
Yeah.
Like,
and two, there's nothing you can do to stop this from happening, okay? Your body's already releasing this item from you. Like, there's no, okay, suck it back in, like, you know?
Well, I remember, when did my water break? Before that?
Yeah, so I remember Shelly was...
So my water wasn't broken when I got to the hospital.
Still not. And even at 9 centimeters, it's still not. So I remember Shelly, she looks at the nurse and she goes, "I have to turn on my side." And they go, "At this rate, that's really not a good idea. It's not a good idea." And she goes, "I don't care. I need to be on my side." And she, like, devoid of all everything anybody was telling her, she just starts kind of moving her pregnant body sideways, right?
I don't remember this,
and
but...
all I hear is this boop, like a pop. And there's like this film that's pinkish but also clear, almost like a pink urine comes out with a little film.
I tell you, it was so much relief, though.
It was so weird.
Oh my God, I could feel like such a relief when that popped, and
yeah, and that made me feel a lot better too.
I think I sighed.
Yeah, she did. She was like, ugh. You know, you could feel the tension in the room had dropped from like a 10 to a 2.
Right.
Completely. Like, she was so chill after that.
So from there, I did more pushing, and then
Yeah.
I was still at a 9, and the nurse is on the phone with the doctor, and
Yeah.
he's telling her, oh, just wait, like, you can be at a 9 for hours, and I'm like, no, that wasn't our case, like, I was...
6 to 9, like that, within 20 minutes. And then as she's on the phone with the doctor wanted to know, because he was like, I'm still about an hour away from the hospital.
Really?
Okay? You got to realize, sometimes you can be stuck at a 9 for hours. And not this chick. Again, the nurse already told her, stop pushing. Why? To wait for the freaking doctor to get there. I'm sorry, this baby's not waiting. Okay? She comes back in the room, still on the phone with the doctor, and she goes, oh my God, this baby's coming. Doc, get here now. She hung up the phone, and she started asking the residents on the floor, like, okay, what do I do? This
Remember,
baby's
there's
coming.
like 5 nurses in
Yeah.
the room, or...
Exactly. And they said, you know what? If her OB isn't coming, get the on-call doctor that's here in the hospital.
But she make
And
it.
so, as that doctor was on her way up, Shelly pushed the baby out.
The nurse, like, barely caught
That
him.
fast. Like, the nurse had barely started to put her gloves on, waiting for the doctor, and she goes, whoop! And there he was.
There it is.
Kind of scary. We didn't tell Shelly right off the bat, but Elijah had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck 3 times, and if it weren't for the heart monitor letting us know that he was alive, by all accounts, I would have personally believed him to be dead, because he was not okay in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, but that's why we went in
Right.
on the 10th to check.
6 days before this, because
We
we
didn't
had
feel
a feeling.
very movement. And
Yeah, we had a feeling something's wrong. Okay, his baby's gotten too big. There's not enough room in there for him to move around.
They didn't do an ultrasound, so
So once again,
like our instincts were right. But
something was done wrong. Anyways,
I remember him being born, and like you didn't hear him cry. Like there was like 20 people in the room for one, and then I remember like a silence, not awkward, but just a silence, and like you didn't hear him cry. And then what happened after that?
well, I've described it as a father as the moment that I felt the most amount of joy, but also the most amount of terror. I don't know why I felt terror in that moment. I think it was because I was scared for my little boy, just looking at his body like that. I was
You
like,
said his head was like gray.
yeah, he looked gray. Like most babies when they come out, they look purplish. But I kid you guys not, he looked gray. He looked like stillborn. It was really scary. But his heartbeat was going, so obviously he was fine. So I had to watch the nurse like gently cut the umbilical cord off of his neck and then clamp it the way that they do that. They took him over to his little sanitary station where they cleaned him up and everything. But during all of that chaos, even though it was silent, it sounded so busy at the same time.
Yeah, like a silent movie kind of thing.
Until they finally got him to cry.
Yeah.
And then it was like, after that moment, all the attention was focused on Mom. Because all of a sudden...
Because he was born at 9:03.
Yeah.
I remember being stitched up at 9:25. Finally, my doctor arrived to stitch me up.
Yeah. He got the placenta out.
But you said they turned my attention to me where...
She was bleeding a lot. Sorry guys, I get very frustrated when he does that. It's his new thing, he screams. Alright, we need to wrap this up, but needless to say, Shelly hemorrhaged. She had a hematoma where she started bleeding profusely.
And mind you, I told you I was bleeding at 4:30, where I told my nurse.
Yeah.
And she said, because you're a redhead. So, once again, my instincts were right, and I was trying to tell them, but they did nothing about it.
No.
So from 4:30 to 9:30, that's a lot of blood missing.
Yep. So basically, let's fast forward to the recovery floor. Once we got up there, because we brought like our freaking house with us.
No, I had a seizure after birth.
Yes. She had a
epileptic seizure,
Yeah,
based on
non-epileptic.
stress, which your body goes through the most stress during labor. And I had a seizure as they're trying to bring me up to the recovery room. From there, like, I recovered from it. From there, I was in the labor and delivery postpartum recovery room, and I remember having to use the bathroom. They took me to the bathroom, and I just remember, like, hearing urine, like, flush, but it wasn't urine, it was blood. So it was like anytime my body was upright, blood was just pouring out.
Imagine your sink is full of water in the house.
Don't get graphic.
No, they gotta understand. Your sink is full of water, and then you fill a cup with water, and you're pouring it already in the sink full of water. It was like that kind of pour.
It was like midnight.
It wasn't just drip, drip, drip. It was pouring. Like, it sounded like she was actually urinating, but it was all blood. So she had lost gallons, maybe, if you even have that much in your body. Her blood count went from what?
I think it was a 13 when I got to the hospital, and it was a 7, I think, that evening or that next day.
Needless to say,
It was like midnight, 1 in the morning.
I remember.
Mind you, you've been up since 5:30, and, like, I'm in the recovery room on the toilet, and I don't know. What do you remember from that?
Well, I remember Shelly told me that she had to use the bathroom, and I asked her, "You need help?" She said, "No, I think I can make it to the toilet." And I said, "Okay, let me know if you need me." And then my little sister pointed out, maybe 10 minutes in, she goes, "Brother, she's been in there a while. You want me to check on her?" And I said, "No, I'll do it." And I opened the door, and all I see is, like, Shelly on the toilet, slumped against the wall, mouth open, face completely blue-gray, lips white. By all accounts, Shelly had died. She had lost all the blood in her body. She was gone. I checked her pulse and her wrist, didn't get a thing. Checked the pulse in the neck, nothing. Immediately, I'm out the door screaming for help. My sister's panicking, baby's crying. Like, I don't know what the hell to do at this point. My wife has died. And so they get a crash cart. I'm on the phone with my foster mom.
In the hallway.
Yeah. Well, the nurses came in trying to resuscitate her, and so they told me, grab the baby, go in the hallway. And meanwhile, I'm on the phone with my foster mom letting her know, hey, I really think that Shelly just died, Mom. I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. I'm thinking I'm going to raise this kid alone. So basically, like, as they're wheeling the crash cart paddles into the room, they finally say, hold on. She woke up. So, thank God.
I remember they put, like, an alcohol swab, like, under my nose. That, what I felt, what woke me up. But, I remember waking up to, like, 20 more nurses in the room. And
yeah, there was a lot. I lost count. That room
crowded.
was packed.
And then from there, I remember being put on the bed. They gave me oxygen. And I don't know what happened from there. But
they just told her to stay in bed at that point, that she needed to keep her body level. And they gave her...
I remember anytime I got up to sit up or anything, like, I'd feel this heat rise on the back of my back, and it was just annoying. But from there, they gave me 4 blood transfusions for the next couple days. So we were in the hospital for 4 days. They gave me 4 blood transfusions, and then even after that, I remember still trying to go to the bathroom and feeling that heat rise, feeling a little dizzy. And so they asked, the doctor told me, he's like, I can do a set of platelets, and I don't know what he wanted to do, but it didn't sound right. And the nurse at the time told me, look, you're the patient, not him. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to do this. You know, if you feel like another transfusion will help, we could try that first. She said, I don't really feel like platelets, I don't know, will benefit you. So anyways, we just did another blood transfusion. So by my 5th blood transfusion, I was finally able to feel recovered. And yeah, from there.
Well, after that, just her body started responding pretty well to the blood transfusions. They checked her blood count the next morning. Everything had pretty much gone back to normal. It was just all about making sure that Shelly felt comfortable and good enough before even talking about being discharged. And at that point, every day we had people coming in and apologizing for the lack of communication.
The whole
and
staff, like I had the dean of the hospital,
we had the chief of surgery, like everybody coming in, basically begging us not to sue the hospital because of how badly we had experienced, especially for the first birth experience. Like this was close to being a nightmare.
From the admitting process, from like the second you came in.
And now we're not sharing this to scare anyone off of having children. This is not everyone's experience. I was actually telling Shelly, because we had to watch a couple people share their birth story on YouTube, and I found myself getting frustrated because everyone's like, oh, it's rainbows and Skittles and sparkles and glamour. I'm like, what the heck? No, it's not. It's a freaking nightmare. So
well, every birth is different, just like every pregnancy is different.
Yes.
Like you cannot prepare.
No.
I mean, you should prepare your mindset and like try to educate yourself, but
yeah. I mean, do your stretches, do your reading, whatever you feel like, whatever's going to help you sleep better at night, essentially. But ultimately, there's nothing that's going to prepare your body for what the hell you're about to go through, first off. And two, there's nothing that you can do to prepare your partner.
I mean, yeah, you can have preferences. Like they say, create a birth plan. No, it should be birth preferences because,
the hospitals, let me tell you this, as the person who was awake the whole time and watched everything happen, the hospital doesn't give a rat's patootie what plan you think you have.
Their
None.
plan is to save your life. And
yeah. Okay, the nurses and the doctors, they all go into the field with the expectation of saving lives. We get it. But Big Pharma and the hospitals themselves, to them, you're a number.
That's how I felt that day.
You are a number, and honestly...
How many times I spoke up about doing an ultrasound or the bleeding.
Yep.
I remember asking for a peanut ball, and the nurse brought it in, and I thought, oh, that will help my pain, and I'm like, no, it didn't help. And she, like, threw it against the wall and was all mad about it. I'm like, okay, anyways, but, like...
Well, it's funny because you would expect a labor and delivery nurse to be like, a compassionate human being, like a soft teddy bear who's like a doula, super motivating and kind. No, this lady was...
She had a bad day.
This lady was just mean, to say the least. I have a few other words I'd use, but not publicly. Anyways, so moving forward.
But yeah, anyways, Elijah was born at October 16th, 2018. He was 7 pounds, 11 ounces, 19 and 3/4 inches long.
19 and 3/4 inches, yep.
He turned out pretty healthy, regardless of the cord.
He had very minor jaundice, which they told me we can either put him under one of these lamp things, or you can sit with him next to the open window. And I just decided I want to do that.
Yeah.
Give me the opportunity to bond with him and give Mama a bit of a break. So that was nice. I really enjoyed that part as a daddy, first time,
But he was healthy, had no time in the NICU, and
Nope.
After my experience, I was able to shower, thank God, and feel healthy, and
Yep.
So yeah, that was our birth story with Elijah, and sorry if we rambled a lot, but
Well, this was going to end up much longer, but we're trying to stay on point and just give you guys the necessary details and not the unnecessary ones. Sorry if I'm a bit graphic for some of you. You should be pretty mature to have a Facebook account anyways, so hopefully there was no children listening. If there were, well, God bless your little souls. But we love you all.
Thank you for watching, and If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message us
or just put it in the comments. Anyways, we're going to get this uploaded to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned because we've got much more to come your way. Alright guys,